Welcome race fans to the Grand Prix of Saudi Arabia. My name is Webbo to bring you today's race. Here is how our season standings look so far. On 86 points, Skrubbins leads Zenzuku by just 3 points overall, with a very equal run of results so far this season. Al is on 44, nearly half the points of the lead pairing, with Flyscott, Hybe and Dada Racer with plenty to play for as we bring our next Grand Prix of the season. K-Spliff on 25, Footy on only 9 so far, really needs to kickstart his season at this current time. We're getting ready then for the starting lights. 13 laps await us here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. We are standing by then. The 5 red lights are ready to go. Skrubbins and Zenzuku occupying the front row of the grid in that order, and it's drop the clutch and it's go, go, go. There will be a huge melee down into the first turn, but it's Skrubbins who gets away absolutely fantastically.
Oh, you bandit.
And it's Zenzuku playing catch up and defense against Dad Racer, who goes into P3 at this early stage of the Grand Prix. We've got Flyscott and K-Spliff over in 4th and 5th positions. Let's take another look at the start from row 2. As you can see, the blue machine in front of us getting a very slow getaway there, squeezing down the middle, threading the needle there on board with the black racer here as we head down in towards the first couple of corners. A great start there, but that was very, very squeaky territory on the approach into turn 1. Expertly handled though, and good fair racing between our drivers. As we go back to live racing, it is Dada Racer there in the black and gold, following the blue and kind of orangey coloured schemes of Zenzuku and Skrubbins respectively. Zenzuku though staying hot on Skrubbins' tail, waiting for our DRS zones to be opened, of course. It's a 13 lap, 25% distance as Zenzuku is hot on the heels. Dad Racer not letting them get completely away with this one, but gapping Flyscott in the background. K-Spliff's in 5th. Aidan Evina is in 6th position. Beechink and Nefandius ahead of Hybe and Footy. At the tail of the field, but plenty of close racing, as you can see, coming out of the final corner to finish out lap 1 as we head down then in towards that really difficult pinch point of turns 1 and 2. Our green car there just getting it's Hybe getting into 2 of the races, but coming off slightly worse as a result. No damage to the car though. Should be able to rebuild Hybe from last position now, because he slips and slides his way through the low grip section of the racetrack, and Footy makes his way by. Skrubbins still leads from Zenzuku. This is Dad Racer though, trying to stay within that DRS territory. Only lap 2 at the moment. We are expecting DRS to be reopened. This is turn 13, the famous banked turn. As we look into the background, we see the construction projects continuing here at the Jeddah Corniche surroundings through the fast flowing chicanes in the middle of the lap before heading into what will be the long drag down towards turn 27 and the DRS detection zone 3 on the racetrack. As we head through, but they won't get the DRS given to them at this time. It is currently Dada Racer in 3rd position here on your screen, with Flyscott directly behind, and we go back to our leaders, and they are absolutely nose to tail on the way out of the 27th official turn, the final turn. Some might call it the Verstappen turn there, as we get the DRS opened for Zenzuku, who uses that DRS down to the inside line. Skrubbins holding firm on the outside traditional racing line, and then they do pinch together, no contact. Great respect between the two of them. Skrubbins stays ahead, but for how much longer, as Zenzuku has served notice straight away here. Of course, a relatively short Grand Prix we have for you. This is Dada Racer with Flyscott just 1/4 of a second directly behind of him. Plenty of sponsors on the Dada Racer car, with Flyscott just playing catch up for this point, but K-Spliff is directly behind as well. I think we go back here to Hybe, who's at the back of the grid and playing catch up. But back to the front then, as we wait to see Zenzuku timing his next opportunity. Will we have any gamesmanship into the final DRS detection point? Will he be able to get by here and sufficiently far enough ahead to stop any further action coming? He's going to use that DRS to get down the inside. He stays back slightly, and there's a little bit of contact. That is a treacherous turn that Lance Stroll can hardly get through by himself.
Did I just close that on you?
Yeah.
Condensing together the two cars, perhaps shades of a F1 sim racing legendary moment with Thomas Ronhaar, but it was Scrubbins who struggled. Sorry, it was Zenzuku who struggled through there. That is Fly Scott making his way by Dad Racer into the final corner, but Dad Racer is right there with him. I'm not sure who got DRS. It was Dad Racer who got the DRS there on the long drag down to turn 1. Fly Scott moves to the inside. Dad Racer forced to the outside. We've seen though that can work around the outside. What a great sweep by there that was, with K-Spliff waiting in the background for his next opportunity. Side-by-side action aplenty down into turn 1 at the end of lap 4. Fantastic racing here, and that was Hybe making his way by, as we saw. He's now going past Beechink there as well, so great start, but a bit of an early turn in. Someone spinning directly in front of Hybe. That was Footy, unfortunately. Footy trying to get some good points here for his title run, try to get off the mark here and try and get to within sight of his nearest rival in front, but unfortunately that one didn't work out. It is just the nature of this circuit though, very low grip, very difficult in these evening conditions. Despite the prodigious amount of floodlights, it really doesn't heat up the track very much at all. This is Zenzuku ahead then, and we've had a problem for Scrubbins, have we? Let's have a look. This is heading down on the inside line with the driver on the inside, as our outside racer just struggles around the turn, sweeps back in front. That was what we saw at the end of the previous lap there, and here we have it, a replay of the near overtake, but as he dives into what is a difficult chicane here. Really, was this on? I think it was on. He was halfway through, but contact between the two main title rivals, and it's just, this track has a habit of making these situations. By the time they got to the apex, he was a little bit further back than halfway. We look down on the race camera right now on the yellow nose as we look to see. I think this might have been Footy.
Uh-oh. Scrubbins, what'd you do?
I just hit the curb.
Bizarre angle here for him. We did just get a little bit too much curb, and just the slowest, most depressing little spin happens here as he then tries to get out of the way of the people coming through. Spin turn to restart here for him as we get back underway. It is Zenzuku leading. Scrubbins has dropped down to 5th position. We didn't quite see yet exactly what happened there, but Zenzuku leads by nearly a second from Dad Racer, who will still get the benefit of the DRS on this 4th racing lap. But his biggest concern right now is the attention that we've seen with Fly Scott and K-Spliff directly behind. Here comes Spliff to have a look down the inside. No, shying away from the option of making the overtake at this early point. Up front, you can still see Dad Racer and Zenzuku 0.6 of a second separating them. DRS opens on the back of K-Spliff's P4. He has struggled away from that final corner, hasn't been able to absolutely capitalize. They both go long into the apex, almost over track limits there, and we wait to see if anyone will pick up those 3 strikes for track limits. This looks like it's Fly Scott in the F175 livery, trying to make his way by Dad Racer. Overcooking it, does he slightly? That was a very neat overtake at that point. Great view from the nose looking backwards then. But here comes Dad Racer just straight back at him over the start-finish line and is sweeping across the nose. Absolutely perfect line from the black and gold as he sweeps through and defends that position. And he's now still absolutely going for it. There's a lot of jinking going on in the background there as we go back to see. This is Hybe back to P6. Edon Vina and there's K-Spliff has gone dropping down the order. I don't know if that is a pit stop, possibly for K-Spliff, but he may well have come unglued there for a second and dropping down. Indeed, he's gone down to 8th place, not reading as being in the pit lane at this time as we zoom out and see our racers heading down here into the final corner. That's Dad Racer still staying within 3/4 of a second of Zenzuku directly in front. Edon Vina has just had a moment, but it's Fly Scott who's just gone 90 degrees to the racing angle there in the background, unfortunately, and he will then drop back in time, at least, from Zenzuku and Dad Racer, who continue to lead this battle. The big mystery so far, Scrubbins. Did he actually go into the pit lane, I wonder? He is right with K-Spliff right now, as we've got several drivers just dropping back through the order. I think reaching the halfway distance just about of our race. I think they are heading in for a change of tyre compound potentially, as we see Zenzuku in the blue, Dad Racer in the black and the gold as they head in towards that famous bank turn 13 halfway round our race track here on the half distant point of our racer in total as well. But currently Dad Racer has just dropped back from Zenzuku, who's really lit the fuse on the pace as he runs on through on this halfway period, maybe getting towards the end of his tyres, maybe holding off on using some of his electrical deployment, but he's clearly found something relative to Dad Racer there, who has dropped by over a second over the course of laps 5 and 6 right now. But here is Dad Racer, still a really strong performance from him, and we wait to see if Scrubbins can revisit the lead battle here. He is half a second away from P7, and into the pit lane comes Zenzuku with does Dad Racer go by? Dad Racer stays out. That is Fly Scott, who may or may not be headed towards pit lane as well. Crossing the white line there, just flirting with track limits a little bit, but making it count down to the pit lane speed limit. Of course, as we cut over to the right hand side, you can see Zenzuku's pit stop happening as we speak. Pit crew waiting in the wrong overalls for Fly Scott, who drops down in the order naturally. 15.5 seconds the gap between Zenzuku and Dad Racer, but he will get the undercut, the benefit of those fresh tyres. Will Fly Scott be able to get out of this pit lane in front of the drivers who are coming down the main start finish straight? Absolutely. Very short pit exit here at Saudi as we go for a replay. This is back with Hybe, I believe. White painted car just slipping around slightly. Hybe making his way by, capitalizing on what was a slowdown, but then you get the DRS once again on the right hand side of your screen as they come back to one another. Hybe holding firm to the inside line, and wow, almost coming to complete stop there as the rear of the car just lets go on him. And then again another great overtake from him as we look completely down on the racetrack from what was going on with Hybe. Another spin then for the Green Racer. Contact with the barrier, unfortunately. And you can see, there was a different Green Racer, my apologies. A spin, contact with the barrier, and if you escaped damage, I think you'd be very, very surprised. In towards the pit lane. Too hard, far too fast from Dad Racer. That will cause some damage to be repaired, I would imagine, as we have a look at where we have currently Hybe in P3, having not pitted. Zenzuku is in front of him. Zenzuku has retaken the lead of the race, and that is how you go into the pit lane without making contact with the pit wall there from Hybe. So it's Zenzuku, just 1 second. Dad Racer actually catching slightly on that pit stop sequence. Something of a surprise from me, but he managed to make that stick. So Zenzuku not quite as far ahead. Is he? No, he is. He's now 5.4 seconds on this 8th racing lap ahead of Dad Racer. What news of Scrubbins? He's in 5th position. He's probably dropped about 10 seconds, maybe make that about 13 seconds from Zenzuku overall. Stopping very early, may have gone for the hardest compound of tyre potentially. Zenzuku leads us by 6.3 seconds with Nefandus 7.5 seconds further back, vying for 3rd position. Fly Scott in 4th, Scrubbins very close behind. Here they are, Fly Scott ahead of Scrubbins, ahead of Is that a Doniva or is that not? Well, we have certainly Flyscott in that F175. He makes contact with the barrier. Unfortunately, Scrubbins will, in his Gulf colours, try to get by, I would imagine, as certainly Flyscott trying his damnedest to get by Nefandus, makes his way by neatly, but I think there was certainly some debris on the car. Nefandus will come back at him, sweeping first to the inside, then the outside, selling the dummy, as there you can see the blue and the orange of Scrubbins searching around. He'll get a great exit out of the corner here. They'll both be able to put the DRS on naturally, but he got a really good exit out of the final corner. This is Scrubbins trying to get back onto the podium. As we cut back then and we see this is Flyscott. That was the contact with the diffuser on the back of Nefandus, and then discovering just how little grip he had as he accelerates through the next corner as he normally would. But I imagine some damage to the front wing. Hell of an overtake, that one from Flyscott. That is what certainly we were trying earlier on, Scrubbins versus Zenzuku, and wasn't a successful overtake, sadly. Here on lap 9, Zenzuku leads by 8.4 seconds, which is quite the achievement, you have to say, having all made their pit stops. Scrubbins is still just 0.3 of a second away from Flyscott, who's trying to get a podium out of today's race. Doniva is in P5, Hybe in 6th, Beechink is in 7th, Nefandus 8th, Footy 9th, and K-Splift at the back of the grid at the moment. Footy trying to outscore at least one person today, and I think he's on for that. By 1.5 seconds is the gap. We focus at the moment on Dad Racer, who is kind of in no man's land as we go back then down the grid towards Flyscott and Scrubbins. This is where we should see the benefit of the DRS at least once. There goes Scrubbins by to give the DRS detection to the car that he's just overtaken. He's actually managed to focus on the final corner so well. Maybe it does appear that perhaps Flyscott has a little bit of damage on the car, affecting his top speed. That was an unnaturally slower exit out of the final corner. Here we go then back with, I think this is Hybe, challenging Adonvina, excuse me, just getting used to everybody's names, I do apologise, as sweeping around the outside we try here at this stage anyway. Hybe trying to find something different to put off Adonvina as they run through the next couple of chicanes. The bright green of Hybe, again just looking for a weakness in the game in front, but I think has cost himself a little bit of time following too closely behind at the wrong portion of the racetrack. Heading towards turn 13 we go. Here back to a replay then, looking back from this is Flyscott on Scrubbins. Scrubbins looking for that overtake. Could be a little bit nervous going into this one, and he makes the overtake. This is where he crashed earlier on. No, it isn't. This is the turn 13 and making his way around the outside. Little bit of DRS down into 13. No, not even that. So he manages to make that one stick very, very nicely. Zenzuku leads on lap 11 by 11.5 seconds now. I think he'll have more seconds in hand than he will have completed laps by the end of the race. Completely on his own here after Scrubbins failed overtake attempt through the Stroll chicane, I like to call it anyway, through the 22-23 labelled corners. They're very generous with their corner labelling here, or attribution here, as we head halfway in the pit lane here on board with Hybe, who makes his way by. We have a look back at that is Flyscott, who's dropped 3.6 seconds from Dad Racer right now, but Hybe completes the move that he's been building to for some time here on Adonvina, makes his way by. And for a moment there it looked like Flyscott was ghosted, but I think he's a-okay, possibly just making small adjustment under the pause menu. But Scrubbins, this is Flyscott, excuse me, in 4th position. He is 7.48 seconds now away from Scrubbins. What amazing pace Scrubbins has found all of a sudden. The gap at the front is Dad Racer second, 12 seconds behind Zenzuku. K-Splift and Footy at the back of the field at the moment. Footy is now 2.2 seconds away from K-Splift. This is Dad Racer though, trying to hold off in the last 2 laps a gap of 3 seconds, just under
The hard tires
Scrubbins
are way better than the softs.
He's ruthless.
They are pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they're way better. But I'm running out of battery.
And Dad Racer, the rear's getting away from him slightly, very eager to maximise this one. And there goes Scrubbins into the barrier in the background of our picture. Scrubbins, the second major incident,
Dang it.
unfortunately for him. And he has lost at least part of his front wing. This circuit punishes people for being 3 centimetres off the racing line. And unfortunately, that was Scrubbins. Flyscott gets his 3rd place back again, then Scrubbins down as Hybe is challenging Scrubbins as well on the timing screen. Here they are on the main picture now as there goes Hybe and Adon Vina getting by Scrubbins, who will have significant damage if he's got any front wing. No, it's all gone, the front wing. And what a circuit to lose your front wing here at the corner. And there goes Flyscott into the scenery, into the barrier. And can he recover here? Well, he's kept a little bit of his front wing. Quite how that worked, I'm not sure, but he certainly made a tour of the outside of the circuit parameters there. Flyscott keeps hold of 3rd position. If he's managed to hold off on any damage, he'll be okay for a short period of time here that's left in the race. Just 1.5 laps left remaining to the drivers. Zenzuku continues to lead by 13.3 seconds. Dad Racer is in 2nd and Flyscott in P3. We've got Hybe in 4th, 1.5 seconds away. Flyscott is dropping down the order once again. Another mistake potentially there from Flyscott as Hybe gets into the podium positions for the first time this race. Flyscott in 5th, Scrubbins down in 6th place with the loss of that front wing. And that is just going to compound to more and more problems for him. The final lap has begun for our leader Zenzuku as the drivers here at the P3 build down towards the famous final turn. Adon Vina trying to capitalise on Hybe. Hybe hanging on for now at least. And he gets a really good exit out of that final corner. Just a couple of miles left to run.
I think you should drive this thing now.
Hybe, who is putting in a tremendously consistent performance so far. This is what happened with Flyscott. Oh, it's just one of those horrible, lazy spins from the back of the car. Almost irrecoverable. We just have a look then as I think a second incident took place. This is just trying to race without a front wing and turn into these high downforce corners. Unfortunately, this is Zenzuku on his final lap of the race. He's completely on his own. Could probably afford to do a neat little donut on his way through the final corner if he wanted to. Zenzuku unchallenged for much of the race and securing that front row start as well. Powers out of the final corner and Zenzuku will take the flag to win in Saudi Arabia. Zenzuku with a 14.5 second gap by the time Dad Racer will cross the line, if not even more. It is almost going to clear 15 seconds, not quite. Dad Racer comes back to secure that in P2. Congratulations to him for a great podium. This is Flyscott in the back, black and orange, but I'm expecting to see the bright green of Hybe come through in a few more seconds. Here he is, and he's managed to build the gap to Adon Vina at the in P4. Here comes Hybe out of the final corner, and he will take home a fabulous podium P3 here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Flyscott, lots of drama for him as he crosses the line in P5.
Alright, championships back on the menu.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry.
Rub it in.
It's saying... Get back to position.
Your podium then. Zenzuku, your winner. And the worst thing he's done all day is that dance as he goes to claim the champagne. Dad Racer on to his right, High B to his left, shaking hands. And there, your trophy moment and your provisional results. The fastest lap goes by way of Zenzuka with the win and the pole ahead of, sorry, not even the pole. He got second place there. Dad Racer in P2 with High B in third. Fantastic race. Thank you for having us here today. Thanks for enjoying the race. My name's Webbo. You can find me at WebboRed5 everywhere. But from us here at the channel and from the Grand Prix, thank you for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.